Gandalf's shock when he first encounters the Witch King of Angmar in The Lord of the Rings is not just a moment of surprise, it's a profound emotional and intellectual revelation that goes to the very heart of Middle-earth's history and the nature of its darkest forces. To fully understand why Gandalf, one of the wisest and most powerful beings in the world, is so rattled by the appearance of this terrifying figure, we need to explore several layers of history, power, and unseen forces that were at play during this climactic encounter. To begin, we need to understand who the Witch King is. The Witch King, also known as the Lord of the Nazgul, is one of the 9 kings of men who were corrupted by Sauron's power through the Rings of Power. These 9 kings, known as the Nazgul, were originally noble men, but they fell under the sway of Sauron's malevolent influence, turning into wraith-like beings whose physical forms were destroyed, leaving only their spirits to serve Sauron's will. The Witch King, however, stood out not only as their leader, but also as the most feared of the Nazgul. The Witch King's power is immense, but it's not just the brute force of his magical abilities or his command over the other Nazgul that makes him terrifying. It's his deep understanding of fear itself. He embodies terror, able to twist the minds of his enemies and use their deepest anxieties and insecurities against them. His very presence can send ripples of dread through the air, weakening the resolve of even the most steadfast warriors. He is not just a shadowy figure wielding magic. He is the embodiment of fear, a force that no one can easily resist. For Gandalf, who spent centuries combating the shadow of Sauron, the Witch King represented a terrifying reality. Sauron's power had grown far beyond what he had anticipated. Gandalf had always understood the evil of the Dark Lord, but the Witch King's presence signaled that Sauron had not only regained his strength, but had developed a way to wield terror on a scale Gandalf had never before encountered. When Gandalf faces the Witch King, it is in the context of the siege of Minas Tirith. The city of Gondor, the last bastion against Sauron's forces, is on the brink of destruction. Gandalf, who has long been guiding the free peoples of Middle-earth, knows that this moment is critical. The battle for Minas Tirith is the final stand against Sauron's might before the forces of darkness can fully envelop the world. The Witch King's sudden appearance at this juncture is a horrifying confirmation of Gandalf's worst fears. Gandalf had always understood that the coming of the Dark Lord was inevitable, but the appearance of the Witch King, now the commander of the armies of Mordor, signaled that Sauron's forces were not only present, but also powerful, unified, and more dangerous than ever before. The Witch King was no mere general. He was a symbol of Sauron's complete domination over his servants and his ability to manipulate and twist the free peoples of Middle-earth to his will. But Gandalf's shock isn't simply from the Witch King's appearance. It is also the realization that the Witch King represents a deeper, more insidious form of power than even Gandalf, with all his wisdom and magical prowess, had fully comprehended. The arrival of the Witch King is a direct manifestation of Sauron's unseen influence, a force that transcends mere armies and weapons. The Dark Lord's power lies not just in his armies, but in his ability to corrupt and pervert the very hearts and minds of Middle-earth's inhabitants. The Witch King is a prime example of this. A being who, once a great king, has become a puppet of Sauron's will, driven not by ambition, but by fear and hate, bound forever to the Dark Lord's purpose. Gandalf knows all too well that the Witch King is not just another foe to be battled with swords and magic. The very essence of the Witch King is tied to Sauron's domination over the world, and that realization brings with it a deeper understanding of the true nature of the threat Gandalf faces. The Witch King is the pinnacle of Sauron's dark influence. He is no longer just a corrupted king, but a monster who has transcended humanity to become something far darker, more powerful, and more dangerous. The corruption is complete, and the Witch King represents a terrifying example of the fate that awaits any who fall under Sauron's sway. For Gandalf, the appearance of the Witch King is particularly unnerving because he is acutely aware of the history of the Nazgul. Gandalf knows that the Nazgul are not simply mindless servants of Sauron. They were once men, kings, powerful and noble individuals. The Witch King, in particular, had once been the king of Angmar, a ruler whose realm had struck terror into the hearts of the northern kingdoms. In his mortal days, the Witch King had been a feared and formidable figure. Now, as the leader of the Nazgul, he is far more powerful, more terrifying, and more alien. Gandalf knows the depth of the Witch King's corruption because he has seen firsthand how the power of the rings can twist even the most noble of beings into something monstrous. This knowledge gives Gandalf an intimate understanding of the profound danger the Witch King poses, not just in terms of physical power, but in terms of the very soul of Middle-earth. The Witch King's appearance is a reminder to Gandalf that the power of Sauron is not just an external threat, but a force that has infected the very fabric of Middle-earth's history, warping the destinies of kings and queens, men and elves, turning them all into pawns in a greater game of domination. Perhaps most chilling of all is the psychological impact the Witch King has on Gandalf. As a Maya, Gandalf is no stranger to the supernatural, and he has encountered many dark beings throughout his long existence. Yet the Witch King, like all of the Nazgul, is an embodiment of terror itself. The very presence of the Witch King sends a shockwave of dread through the land. For someone like Gandalf, who is attuned to the spiritual and psychological undercurrents of the world, the Witch King's aura is suffocating. It's not just that he is a physical threat, but that he represents an existential fear, a fear that is universal to all creatures of Middle-earth. The Witch King can sense the fears of those around him, and this allows him to manipulate and break even the strongest minds. The terrifying aura of the Witch King, then, is a direct attack on Gandalf's own strength of will. Gandalf is one of the few beings in Middle-earth who is not easily susceptible to fear. Yet even he is forced to confront the very limits of his own power and understanding. The Witch King's power does not lie merely in brute force, but in his ability to strike at the very heart of an individual's resolve. The terror the Witch King brings is not just of bodily harm, but of an existential dread